So why do so many physique-based people, models, fitness influencers like low-carb diets? So I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. So this is a topic of nuance, because when I bring this up, I'll get people who say, Jason, how can you say that low-carb diets have these benefits for looking a certain way, but yet you tell us that really high-carb, low-fat diets are better for body composition and that they're optimal? Because quite frankly, they are. And I think this is where we get the confusion. This is where we get the confusion, because low carb diets can create the illusion of leanness. In other words, they cause you to drop water weight. And where people get some of the misconceptions for that, they think that water weight is purely about glycogen. They're like, well, if you drop muscle glycogen, you lose 4 grams of water for every gram of carbohydrate because it attracts it, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the problem with that hypothesis. That's only short term. In people who are keto adapted, okay, athletes who are keto adapted, do they have lower glycogen stores than people who eat higher carbs? Not really. Not according to the research on athletes. So is that really what's happening? No, doesn't seem to be the case. What is happening? Shifts in aldosterone. So one of the things that you'll note is that when carbohydrates get really, really low, we start excreting more electrolytes. Sodium and potassium excretion go up. So this is one of the problems for people who do low carb diets. One of the problems they run into is the loss of electrolytes. A lot of times some of the side effects that get like really deep keto diets, the keto flu, can be largely offset by adding more salts to your diet. Sodium, potassium, and then maybe to a lesser extent magnesium, although we don't necessarily excrete more magnesium when carbohydrates are lower. But absolutely, sodium and potassium, yeah. So do you see the issue there? If we're excreting a lot more sodium, we drop water weight. So that's not just intramuscular water. So people are thinking, oh, just your glycogen stores all get lower. But no, that's not just what we see. We see a lot of subcutaneous water, okay? I know anytime I've gone from really high carbs to low carbs, my waistline goes down. My skin gets tighter around the waist. Okay? I lose water weight around my waistline. I feel like I get better body composition when my carbs are high, but I hold a lot more water. I hold a lot more under my skin. And I'm not the only person. So why are people doing this? Why do a lot of these guys swear by these sort of diets? Because it lets them look leaner year round. In other words, if you're dropping water weight, and this is really noticed in enhanced lifters, by the way. I mean, this is stuff that writers for enhanced stuff have been writing about for decades. I mean, I remember when Muscular Development magazine was writing about replacing carbs with healthy fats, just to take the bloat off from the stuff that they used for bodybuilders. Okay? One reason the anabolic diet was so popular when I was younger, over 20 years ago, particularly in those circles, book by Dr. Mario D. Pasquale, right? It takes a lot of the gear bloat off people. Well, so it should be no surprise that a lot of physique competitors, fitness models, fitness influencers are enhanced. Okay, it helps them take that bloat off from any of the stuff they're using that might be causing it. But it also does the same for people who are natural. So people are like, man, I do this diet because I get leaner, but you're really not. It's not necessarily going to make you leaner. Okay, calories matter. Calories matter. Thermic effect matters. No, it's not going to make you lose fat more quickly. It really doesn't, unless it creates a calorie deficit. But if it takes 5 or 10 pounds of water off you, if you lose 5 pounds of water weight under your skin, all around your fat, do you all of a sudden look leaner? Would you think, if you didn't know what was going on, that you lost body fat? Yeah. It's not just scale weight, guys. And it's not just, oh, you're just dropping intermuscular water. No, you're not. You're dropping subcutaneous water, because it's that whole shift in aldosterone, right? which is, again, a hormone in the body. So, yeah, all of this affects fluid balance. So, yeah, it can create the illusion of leanness. Okay? And as much as a lot of us may tout really high carb diets for health, for better body composition, because they absolutely can be, they may not always make you look as good in the moment. And for a person who really wants to look good year round, the other approach on the opposite end of the spectrum can be very attractive. Okay? If you're very appearance oriented, it can be very attractive, because the other might be helping you with better lean gains, potentially, slightly better. But for some people, it's going to make you look smoother and less defined. So there's a trade-off to be had. Right? There's a trade-off to be had. But the fact is, yes, low-fat diets, you'll gain less fat. I'm not saying you'll lose fat more quickly, but if you're going to eat in a surplus, you will gain less body fat. And we have objective science knowing why, and it's because you're only gaining fat from the fat that you potentially eat. And if your fat intake is very, very low, you're not storing those carbohydrates as fat. And if the little tiny amount you do is not under the skin, it's all around the organs, all of it. And it's not a lot. So yeah, for people who are seeking really lean gains, it makes sense. But is that the only route to do it? No, it's not. If you just eat really high protein in a very, very, very small calorie surplus, you also can get really good lean gains. So just throwing that out there. There are different approaches. And these approaches all work. That's why there are so many arguments with this stuff. This is why there's confusion and arguments, because multiple of these approaches work for specific reasons and in a certain context. But people will then take those as absolutes. So because of that context, they're like, it's automatically better. It's superior, it's better, it's the only way to go. Well, no, that's just simply not the case. These different approaches can have different benefits. And I mean, if a person was chasing really, really lean gains or only lean gains, I could make the case for just protein overfeeding with a very, very small calorie surplus. And in that case, I don't really care so much how many carbs versus fat are in the rest of your calories. Again, unless you need one for a specific reason. Okay? So then we come over to, maybe needing the training fuel from carbs, or maybe a person wants less water, so they drop carbs low and do fat. It's all context specific. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.